Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. A couple things before we get started. One is I am standing on a yoga mat. If you're without one, find an area in your house that's carpeted. Maybe you have a rug that's sturdy, not anything that's going to slip out from underneath you, and nothing too slick or hard. So hardwood, linoleum, not so much. I've got 2 yoga blocks. A great substitute for those would be 2 thick books. And I encourage you to use what's around you. Walls for balance, something we'll lean into, pun intended, a bit today. And also cushions to sit on, or a throw blanket or towel to pad your knees with. Find the things that make this a valuable experience, and then we'll be consistent. And consistency is key. Let's start standing with our feet hip distance in parallel, a little bend in our knees, and just to organize our shoulders, take your arms forward, palms face each other. Make some big opposing circles, like a bit of a stretch, but also a bit of a guide, so that when we settle our arms along our sides, palms facing out, we're not inclined to be hunched over. We have a little bit of a roadmap for standing tall through it all. And as we stand, our chin is parallel to the ground. Our gaze, I like to say, is at the bright horizon. And we'll note our balance on our 2 feet and emphasize that by just shifting weight onto your right foot, weight onto your left foot. You're doing that with a little bend to your knees. I think especially with balance, a sense of humor is a good thing to stir in at all moments, and to remember that the wobble is the win. If we're daring, if we try, there will be wobbles on our yoga mat and off. Now let's shift our weight onto our right foot and just see how it goes lifting our left foot for a moment. There are muscles called to action in that right hip. And we'll do the same thing standing on our left leg and lifting our right foot and just noticing that muscles, yet again, are called to action. Now when we step on our right foot this next time, let's bring our left knee into our chest and see how that goes. And then we'll step down and over onto that left foot with our right knee into our chest. And we're just checking it out, sussing it out. Let's step down and now facing what would be the short edge of your mat. So you may be inventing a bit of a mat here. We'll inhale our arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V, and then exhale, float our arms along our sides. This time, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Try coming up on your tiptoes. Bloop. Lower your heels, lower your arms. Let's do that together. So we V-shape our arms, come to our tiptoes, find our sense of humor, and the wobble is the win. And then we lower our heels and our arms twice more. Inhale, V, onto your toes. And then sink your heels, drop your arms. One more time, up to our tippy toes, we V-shape. And then we'll lower our heels and lower our arms. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. We exhale and bring our hands to our thighs, possibly to our shins or our ankles. But if that's rounding us, let's go back to that feeling of a nice tall stance, that nice posture we found. We'll slowly bend our knees and place our palms on the ground and step back to our first down dog. So push the ground away from you, but also push down into your hands. Let's step our feet as wide as our mat, bend our knees, and focus on growing our front, side, and back body, our torso, really long. And we do that by finding a hook in our tailbone. Now we'll shift our shoulders over our wrists and then walk our feet about hip distance apart. Give this a go. First, bring your knees down onto your mat so we can figure out shoulders over wrists. We'll push the ground away and find a little bit of balance here, lifting our knees off of our mat just 1 inch and seeing if we can find a little bit of balance. Note side to side in your hands, kind of like we did with our feet. And then bring those knees down and wander your knees about 4 inches back, Let's try to do that without collapsing into our upper body. So our low belly is going to need to draw in, and we push the ground away with the evenness, the balance in our two hands. And then there is a balance of pushing the ground away while we lower our chest, our belly, all the way down. Once we're there, uncurl your toes. Press the tops of your feet into your mat, and then reach back and perhaps interlace or find a kitchen towel or a strap or anything that might help you to interlace or grasp and draw those knuckles behind. Press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps lift off your mat. Think a different sort of balance. We're not charging into extreme anything. We're allowing this to be a long, strong back bend. Our chin is parallel to the ground instead of struggling. We might lift our legs, but if that's making it too much in our low back, we're willing to back it off. We find balance, a balance between effort and surrender, strength and flexibility. Now lower down and bring your hands next to your floating ribs. Curl your toes under. With the strength of that torso, we'll come to all fours in one chunk. And then we find the hook in our tailbone that takes our hips up and back into our down dog. Now, if you like that wider stance, you can take your feet wider. Let's remember to push the ground away and push down into the ground as we grow long. And then walk your feet all the way up to your hands, hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, inhale, glide your hands down, exhale. We'll inhale, rise, reach, let's give it a go. Come to your tiptoes, find a little balance and a sense of humor, and then we'll lower our heels and lower our arms and pause. We'll add that wobbly balance to a sun salutation A, and we're going slowly. Inhale, we V-shape and come to our tiptoes, and then we lower our heels, hinge hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, palms go flat, we step back to down dog, and we take a moment to lift our hips high and feel the length in our torso. Now first, let's come to that balance where we bend our knees and hover our knees for a moment, and then bring your knees a little bit further back and down. Use the strength of your belly, and we're doing that push of the ground away. We'll lower all the way down onto our belly, and this time uncurl your toes. Let it become a cobra pose. So we traction our hands towards us. Remember, we're not struggling. We're finding that balance of ease and effort, and then we lower down. And in one chunk, we'll come to all fours. Then the hook in our tailbone takes us back to down dog. From our downward facing dog, we walk forward. Our feet come all the way up to our hands. We're hip distance and parallel. Inhale, glide your hands up. Exhale, hinge back in. And then we inhale, rise, reach. Ready? We V-shape, and we'll come to our tippy toes. And then lower our arms, lower our heels, and pause. Take your two books or blocks, or use the arm of your sofa if that turns out to be helpful. We'll position that about a foot out in front of us so that we can play with a different sort of balance for a moment. With your hands on your hips, inhale, lift your heart, and then hinge halfway down, and a little bit of bend in your knees is going to be your friend. Position your hands on your blocks, on the arm of your chair, wherever it works for you. Even fingertips on the ground for some of us will work. Stand on your right leg, extend your left leg back behind you. Remember, a bit of bend in that load-bearing right leg. Now we're going to need to find some strength in our belly, just like when we came to all fours, when we hovered our knees above our mat. And we'll use that strength to find a center of balance in a new shape. Hands can stay where they are, or you might make a prayer underneath your chest and see how it goes, finding some balance. Sense of humor would be pretty good to find right about now as well. Return your hands to whatever you're using, and then step your left foot down. Slide your hands to your thighs. Inhale as you press into your thighs. Let's keep this length and hinge back halfway. Position your hands on blocks, fingertips on the ground, or hands on the arm of your sofa. Now we'll stand on our left leg and extend our right leg back behind us. Bending that left knee, that load-bearing leg, is a good thing because it brings muscles into the equation. We'll Also need to find those core muscles, so low belly lifts, just like when we were hovering our knees. Stay here if it's best, or see if you can bring yourself hands into a prayer and a little wobbly balance and breath. Last couple moments. Let's bring our fingertips back to our blocks or the arm of our sofa and step our right foot hip distance from our left. Again, we'll place our hands on our thighs. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, hinge a little bit. Bring yourself V-shape with bent knees into a chair pose. So let's build this for a moment from the ground up. We're shifting back and down, so we're not tucking our tailbone. And then we're going to once again play with balance. What if we sit in this chair pose but come up onto our tiptoes? See how it goes? What if we stay on our tiptoes and very slowly straighten our legs while we're here? I'm winning a lot with my wobbles. How about you? Let's try to stay on our tiptoes and head back to that chair pose with our heels off the ground just for a moment, and then heels down, hands to thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge. Place your hands on your books or blocks or whatever you've got going. We'll stand on our right leg and extend that left leg. And then we'll see about making a prayer underneath our heart. So we're making this a little bit of a flow. Then bring your hands back to wherever it was helpful. Step that left foot hip distance from your right and come to your chair pose with a V shape. We'll stay in chair pose but balance on our toes if we can. And then we'll try to stay on those toes as we straighten our legs. And we'll stay on our toes if we can as we re-bend our knees. Wobbly bobbly, right? Heels come to the ground, hands come to our thighs. Inhale halfway up, bring your fingertips to your blocks or books or arm of chair. Stand on your left leg, extend that right leg back behind you. Just do your best. Maybe a prayer underneath our heart. And then we'll return our hands to whatever was helpful. Right foot hip distance from left. Come into your chair pose with a V shape. One more time, let's see if we can come onto our tippy toes. We'll stay on our tippy toes and slowly straighten our legs. We'll try to stay on our tippy toes and bend our knees. Bring your heels to your mat. This time just stand it up, float your arms along your sides, palms facing out. Take your two books or blocks and move them off the sides of your mat so they're no longer underfoot. And then we will inhale, V shape, and come up onto our tippy toes. Let's stay on our tippy toes and bend our knees into that chair. Then lower your heels and bring your hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up. Place your palms flat, step back to down dog. Oomph into your arms and grow that torso long. Then lift your right leg back behind you and swoop that right foot forward. You might need to help it along. There's no shame in that. Trot your two books or blocks into the mix and heel toe that right foot over to the right a little bit. Now, we'll take our hands on our blocks or our arms along our side and see if we can launch that letter T, Warrior 3. So it could be that you take your blocks with you and step it up that way. And it might be that you try stepping it up without your blocks. We will return our hands to our blocks or fingertips on the ground or arms alongside us into this lunge. Don't worry, we're going to dance it a couple of times. Move your blocks off to the side and plant your palms flat for down dog. Let's lift our left leg while we're here and step that left foot forward, help it along if it would be a useful tool. And then blocks could come to either side as we heel toe our left foot to the left. We'll give it a try. Hands on blocks is a terrific way to do this, and you move your blocks with you. You could take your arms alongside you. We'll step up and see if we can find a little balance in our letter T. Then we step it back into our lunge. Could be arms alongside you. It's likely going to be tools like blocks helping you. And then let's move those blocks, palms flat. We step to down dog. Either stay here or shift with me into a plank position, and let's hover our knees for a second and just appreciate the evenness in our hands. Let your knees glide back just a smidge, put them on the ground, firm your belly, and we lower all the way to our belly. Once we're on our belly, it's a cobra pose. Uncurl your toes, activate your legs, traction your heart through the gateway of your arms. Then we lower down, curl our toes under, come through all fours. Find the hook in our tailbone that brings us into our down dog. From down dog, we walk forward, feet are hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up, inhale. Glide your hands down, exhale. Now it's a chair pose, and here we go. In our chair pose, we come to our tiptoes. We'll try to stay on our tiptoes and straighten our legs. And then stay on your tiptoes, bend your knees, let it become chair pose with your heels down, and we'll stand up and pause. Arms along our sides. Let's give that a try. It's a chair pose. We'll come onto our tiptoes, straighten our legs, and then bend our knees again. Lower your heels, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Glide your hands up and then bend your knees deeply so palms go flat for down dog. Once we're in down dog, lift your right leg behind you, swoop it forward, and either hands on blocks or arms along your side. We'll step it up into our letter T. You can do that with your blocks or not. Ready? There's a little extra curveball. Stand up and hug this left knee into your chest. You can do that using blocks as an assist. We head back to our letter T. You can do that with your hands on something. And then we step back with our chest parallel to the ground, likely our hands on our two books or blocks. Move them out of the way so we can find down dog, palms flat. We step it back. Our left leg lifts behind us and we step that forward. Using blocks, books, our hands to help. And then arms can be alongside you or even out to the side. We'll see if we can stand up into our letter T. Feel free to use what you're using as props. This is the curve ball, right knee into our chest. We give it a squeeze as we come upright. I remind you the wobble is the win. And then we come back to our letter T. Hands can be on something. We step back to that lunge with our chest parallel, hands can be on something. Move that something if it's in your way, palms flat, and we come into downward facing dog. From down dog, bring your knees onto your mat. We're on our hands and knees, and we'll play with a different sort of balance. So moving books and blocks out of the way, and I'm moving myself sideways so it's easier to see. We'll line up our right hand, our right knee, and our left foot down the supposed middle of your mat. I'm not in the middle of my mat now. And then left hand on your hip. We need to oomph into that right arm to find balance, hugging our right hip underneath us and considering lifting our left leg, maybe lifting our left arm. Different balance. Same wobbly win. 3 moments together here. Now set your left foot down and your left hand down. We'll come to hands and knees. I'm turning myself around so it's clearer, but you can stay put where you are. Left hand, left knee, right foot down the middle of our mat. Right hand on your hip. It's the left hip that's hugging underneath us. My left toes are curled under, but you can also let those toes be flat. You might pad that left knee. And now it's our balance. Can we lift our right leg and maybe even lift our right arm and find some balance here? For 3. And for 2. Place that right foot down and that right hand down. Come to hands and knees, and let's turn this hands and knees into down dog, curling our toes under, lifting our hips up and back. And then walk your feet to your hands. We're hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up. Inhale. Slide your hands down. Exhale. We'll take our chair pose, our silly chair balance on your tiptoes pose, and then straighten your legs, and then lower your heels. Float your arms alongside you. Standing on your left leg, take your hands on your hips. Feel free to use your left hand on a wall. And then take your right leg out in front of you. From your hip joint, turn that leg out. Make sure that there's solid support in your left hip. Place the ball of your right foot inside that left foot. Maybe it goes up to your shin. Maybe your right foot goes into your left inner thigh. And then we can grow our branches and challenge our balance. Looks a little bit like the side plank that we just did, but nothing is needing to balance on our hands. And then gently turn that right knee forward, step down and pause. Same thing, second side. Right hand can be on a wall, left hand on your hip. Left leg extends out in front of you, and from our hip joint, we turn that leg out and either plant the ball of our left foot inside that right foot. Remember, outer right hip is solid. We could bring that left foot to our shin. We might bring that left foot into our right inner thigh, and then possibly we grow our branches. Couple moments here. And then point that left knee forward, step it down. Find your 2 books or blocks or whatever it is that was helpful when we were balancing in our letter T. And let's stand up first. Let's play with our balance on our tiptoes. We'll V-shape and come up onto our tiptoes. We'll bend our knees on our tiptoes and see how that goes. Lower your heels, bring your hands to your thighs. Inhale halfway up, let's keep this length. Stand on your right leg, bring your fingertips to whatever's helpful, the ground, blocks, books. Left leg extends back behind you, and then we think back in time to what we did on our shin. And we'll take our left hand on our hip, hug that right hip underneath us, try to turn our body over to the left and stay balanced. You might take your left arm up to the sky. Remember, sense of humor. Left hand on your hip. Lower that hip to face the ground. Lower your left hand to what's helpful and lower your left foot onto the ground. Bring your hands to your thighs. Our knees are bent. We remember to hinge and lengthen, and we'll keep this length as we bring our hands to our books or blocks and stand now on our left leg with our right leg extending back behind us. And then we will hug that left hip underneath us, possibly with our right hand on our hip. And then we can take that right arm up to the sky and pause as we breathe. Return your right hand on your hip, lower that right hip, bring your right hand onto your block, step that right foot hip distance from your left, bring your hands to your thighs, inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge back in. Scoot your blocks out of the way and let's step this into down dog. Once we are in down dog, shift it forward, bring your knees to your mat, and from here, swing your legs around. You might choose to sit on a book or a block. We're extending our legs out in front of us, and we will find that tree pose, but seated here. So right foot into maybe the shin, maybe your left inner thigh. You can always put cushion here, a book, a block, a cushion from your couch. We'll inhale, V-shape our arms, and then take our left ribs to frame that right foot. Sometimes it's nice to use something that lifts our chest here, so we're not rounding, we're actually extending, and we breathe. We'll take a full minute to stretch here. It's part of the balance of our practice, lots of activity, tippy-toe balance, and now a balance of silence. So I'm going to be silent for a full minute. And groundedness. 1 minute starting now. Now upright your torso. Scoot your blocks just so that they're not in your way. Help it along. The right leg, knee points to the sky, and we gently extend our right leg. And then we'll bend our left knee, and it could be that it goes into the shin. It might go into your right inner thigh. And then when we V-shape our arms, it's left side of our waist that is now framing our right leg, and we pause. And you could use your books or blocks to elongate that stretch. We're not interested in hunching, and now it's that balance of being grounded and being in some silence. So I will give you another full minute of silence to stretch into this side. One full minute, so we will slowly upright our torso, scoot our props out of the way, help it along left knee to the sky, waggle both legs out in front of you, and then lie down on your back. And once we're here, a twist. So scoot hips right, let your knees drop over to the left. It might feel good to you to cross that right knee over, you don't have to. And then we head back to center, and we'll scoot our hips to the left and let our knees spill over to the right. And it could be that you cross your left knee over. And then we'll bring ourselves down the middle and set ourselves up for our Shavasana final meditation. So note that your shoulder blades are moving towards each other. Lift your hips up just ever so slightly and make some space for your low back. You could do your Shavasana final meditation like this with your knees bent. Or if it's comfortable, straighten your legs and let your feet flop open. Same goes with perhaps you close your eyes. If that's uncomfortable, just soften your gaze. And it's a 2-minute rest and digest. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation for as long as you'd like. If it's time, let's give ourselves a stretch. Gather your knees into your chest. Take your time as you roll to either side. And then we'll use the strength of our arms to come up to a comfortable seat. Maybe that's upon one of our books or blocks or cushions. Could be cross-legged or any other way you'd like to sit. And then let's just feel our rootedness into the ground, even when things get wobbly out there. Hands on your heart, and we bow. Lift your heart, open your eyes. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm Andrea, and I look forward to us doing this again together soon.